The docking bay of Meridian Station stank of engine coolant and broken promises. Jack Calloway stood with his arms crossed, watching the cargo manifest scroll across his datapad. 3 months of hauling medical supplies across the Kareth corridor, and the Dorvian Merchant Consortium had just informed him, in polished, bureaucratic language, that they were insolvent. His payment of 40,000 credits had evaporated overnight. In its place, they offered him what the document cheerfully called a living asset of significant market value. A slave. Jack stared at the word on the screen. Not a servant. Not an indentured worker. A slave. The Dorvian Consortium operated in systems far outside Earth's jurisdiction, and in those systems, certain practices still existed that made Jack's stomach turn. Captain Calloway, a Dorvian clerk, short, blue-skinned, with nervous antennae, approached him. Behind the clerk, flanked by 2 security drones, stood a young woman. She was humanoid, but not human. Her skin was a deep, luminous silver, her hair the color of midnight given texture. Her ears came to elegant points, and her eyes, when she finally looked up at him, were the pale gold of a dying star. She wore a simple gray shift, the standard garb of Dorvian property, and around her left wrist was a compliance bracelet. She stood perfectly still, not defeated, perfectly, deliberately still, the way a coiled spring is still. "This is your compensation," the clerk said. A Velsheri female. Young, healthy, highly educated. "Market value exceeds your outstanding payment by—" "No," Jack said. The clerk blinked all 4 of his eyes. "Pardon, I said no." Jack tucked his datapad under his arm. "I'm not taking a person as payment. Sue me, keep my cargo fees, I don't care. I'm not doing this." The girl's eyes moved to him for the first time. Something shifted in them. Not hope exactly, but the predecessor to it. "Captain, this is a legally binding." "Legal where?" Jack asked. "In your system, maybe. I fly under Earth registration. Slavery is illegal under Earth law, Galactic Accord Article 9, and my own personal moral code, which I rank pretty highly." He pointed at the compliance bracelet. "Take that thing off her." A very long silence followed. "I said," Jack repeated slowly, his voice dropping to something quiet and certain, the voice he used when he was absolutely not joking, "Take it off." The clerk looked at the security drones. The security drones looked at each other. And then, because Jack Calloway had a reputation in the corridor that had been earned the hard way, the clerk removed the bracelet. The girl rubbed her wrist. She still hadn't spoken. "What's your name?" Jack asked her. She considered him for 3 full seconds. "Luna," she said. Her voice was calm, precise, like someone who had chosen their words carefully for a very long time. "Okay, Luna. You're not cargo. You can come with me, or I can get you a transit visa to wherever you want to go. Your choice." Another pause. "I will come with you," she said. "For now." For the first 2 weeks aboard the Meridian Drift, Luna said very little and observed everything. She learned the ship's systems faster than Jack had learned them himself, and he'd had 6 years. She repaired a coolant leak in the secondary engine that his mechanic had been getting around to for 3 months. She reorganized the cargo manifest in a way that saved him 4 hours at every customs checkpoint. She cooked, actually cooked, not synthesized, meals from ingredients Jack hadn't realized he had. "Where did you learn all this?" he asked one evening, watching her calculate a jump trajectory in her head faster than the navigation computer. "I was educated," she said simply. "Clearly. But where?" She glanced at him. "Does it matter?" "It matters to me," Jack said. "Because you're a person, not a resume." Luna looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned back to the navigation console. "The Velsheri Royal Academy," she said quietly. "Sciences, politics, military strategy, xenodiplomacy." A pause. "I was first in my cohort." Jack absorbed this. "The Royal Academy. That's where the royal family sends their kids." "Yes." "Luna." He said it carefully. "Are you the 3rd daughter of Emperor Velshan XIV?" she said, with the tone of someone reading a grocery list. "Yes." Jack sat down heavily on the nearest crate. "You're a princess. I was considered one. My family and I had a disagreement." She paused. "They wished me to marry a consortium lord to consolidate a trade agreement. I declined. Several times. They arranged for me to be transported to a neutral party as a form of political pressure." Her jaw tightened, just slightly. "They assumed I would eventually comply." "How long were you?" 7 months. 7 months. Jack felt something cold move through him. 7 months in Dorvian, holding while her family waited for her to break. They underestimated you, he said. Everyone does, she replied. It is the most consistent feature of my life. The message came 3 weeks later. Jack was in the middle of a perfectly legal cargo run when his communications array lit up like a festival. Velsheri Imperial frequencies, encrypted, priority flagged, with enough digital authority behind them to make his ship's computer visibly nervous. Emperor Velshan XIV wished to speak with the human who had stolen his daughter. Jack looked at Luna. Luna looked at Jack. You don't have to answer, she said. He's an emperor. He is, she agreed. He is also accustomed to getting what he wants. I would recommend deciding what you want before you speak to him. Jack thought about it for approximately 4 seconds. Then he opened the channel. The Emperor of the Velsheri filled the view screen. Tall, imperious, silver-skinned like Luna but older, sharper, draped in robes that probably cost more than Jack's ship. He stared at Jack the way powerful beings stare at inconveniences. Human, he said, you have something that belongs to me. Jack leaned back in his chair. Funny, I don't see anything on this ship with your name on it. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. My daughter chose to be here, Jack said. Freely, without a compliance bracelet, without a contract, without coercion. If you want to talk to her, that's between you and her. But I'd like to point out, respectfully, that you're talking to an Earth-registered vessel under Galactic Accord protections, and threatening me or my crew would be considered an act of aggression under 17 different treaties. He smiled pleasantly. I looked them up. Silence on the Imperial frequency. You are, the Emperor said slowly, remarkably bold for someone of your species. We get that a lot. Luna stepped into the view screen's frame then. The Emperor's expression shifted, something complicated moving behind his imperial composure. Luna, he said, and for just a moment he sounded less like an emperor and more like a father. Father, she replied. Her voice was steady. I am well. I am here by choice. And I will return home when I choose to. Not before, and not under the terms you dictated. She paused. If you wish to negotiate, I am willing to listen. But the marriage arrangement is finished. That is not a request. A very long silence. You have your mother's stubbornness, the Emperor finally said. I know, Luna said. You always say it like it is an insult. Something that might, on another face, have been a smile crossed the Emperor's features. He looked at Jack again, measuring him differently this time. You freed her, he said. It wasn't a question. When you had legal standing to claim her as property under Dorvian law, you freed her. It wasn't a complicated decision, Jack said. For a human, perhaps not. The Emperor was quiet for a moment. The Velsheri remember their debts, Captain Calloway. You will find the Meridian Drift has been granted permanent diplomatic passage through all Imperial territories. And the Dorvian Consortium's assets have been frozen, pending an Imperial audit. A pause. They were overdue for one. The channel closed. Jack let out a long breath. He became aware that Luna was watching him. You negotiated with an emperor, she said. I mostly just told the truth, Jack said. That's usually enough. Luna was quiet for a moment. In my experience, most beings do not tell emperors the truth. Most beings aren't human. Jack stood, stretching. We've got a cargo drop in 6 hours. You want to recalculate the approach vector, or should I let the computer embarrass itself again? Luna's mouth curved. The first full smile he had seen from her, small and genuine and real. I will handle it, she said. She turned back to the navigation console, starlight falling across her silver features, and began to calculate. Jack watched her for a moment. A princess who had survived 7 months of captivity without breaking, who had reorganized his cargo hold in a day, who had faced her emperor and not flinched, and thought that of all the ways a 3-month hauling job could have gone wrong, this one had turned out surprisingly well. Outside, the stars continued their ancient, indifferent burning. Inside the Meridian Drift, for the first time in a long time, things felt exactly right. Humanity, it turned out, didn't need to conquer the galaxy. They just needed to keep doing the thing they'd always done, treating people like people. The rest had a way of following.